What comes to mind when you hear the word Islam? Is it that friend who skips lunch every year during Ramadan? Maybe it's the mosque you pass by on your way to work? Or honestly, is it just kind of a big question mark? Hey, no shame in admitting it. I mean, we've all had those, what exactly is that about moments, right? Islam is practiced by over 1 billion people across the globe. Yep, that's billion with a B. We're talking about folks from Indonesia to Senegal, from Detroit to Dubai. You might be surprised how diverse it is. And honestly, Islam isn't just a set of beliefs, it's a way of life for 1/5 of the world. And yet, for some reason, it's like there's this fog around it. I mean, despite its size and history, Islam is still one of the most misunderstood religions out there. But that's where this video comes in. Today, we're stripping away the mystery, leaving the myths behind, and diving into what Islam is actually about. No fluff, no bias, just the basics, clear as day. See, we're going to explore what Islam means, what Muslims actually believe, and how it all translates into their everyday lives. And yes, we'll tackle the big questions and debunk the cliches. Because, let's be real, the world's too big and beautiful for all this misunderstanding. Okay, quick spoiler. Islam is a lot more than just fasting and 5 daily prayers. It's about community, compassion, spirituality, and, get this, peace. In fact, did you know that Islam actually shares a root with the word salam, which means peace in Arabic? Yep, peace. Who would have thought? So let's set the record straight and have some fun while we're at it. Buckle up and let's dive in. You're about to get a crash course in Islam that'll actually make sense. Alright, so what is Islam exactly? Let's cut straight to it. At its core, Islam means submission to the will of God. Yep, that's it. Simple, right? Well, simple in theory, but just like most things in life, there's a lot to unpack. See, the word Islam comes from a root that also means peace, and the idea is that you find true peace by aligning your life with God's guidance. So, Islam isn't about forcing beliefs. It's about freely choosing to follow a path that leads to inner peace and purpose. Now, what actually defines a Muslim's faith and practice? Drumroll please. It's the 5 pillars. These are like the fundamentals, the stuff every Muslim tries to live by. Think of it like the foundation of a house. Everything else builds on top. Let's break them down. First up, Shahada. This is the core belief, the statement of faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his messenger. It's short, powerful, and yes, it's the line that sums up Islam in one breath. It's kind of like the mission statement, but way more epic. Next up, Salah, prayer. Muslims pray 5 times a day facing Mecca. It's kind of like a spiritual reset throughout the day, reminding you of what really matters. And honestly, 5 times sounds like a lot, but think of it as mini mindfulness sessions. I mean, I wish I had the discipline to hit pause 5 times a day. Maybe I'd spend less time scrolling, right? Third is zakat. Muslims give a portion of their income to those in need, usually 2.5% of their savings. It's like a yearly reminder that wealth isn't just personal, it's a responsibility. Imagine if everyone gave a little, might actually start to change the world. And zakat isn't just about money, it's about purifying yourself from greed. It's like a spring cleaning for the soul. Then there's Psalm, fasting during Ramadan. For 1 month, Muslims don't eat or drink from sunrise to sunset. Yep, no food, no water. Think of it like intermittent fasting on a whole new level. It's tough, but it's also a chance to build empathy and self-control. I mean, try fasting and tell me you don't appreciate your lunch a whole lot more afterward. Finally, there's Hajj. Every Muslim who's able is expected to make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their life. It's like the ultimate spiritual journey. Millions of people gathering in the same place, dressed alike, worshiping together. It's humbling, really, because Hajj reminds you that in front of God, everyone's equal. No fancy clothes, no VIP sections, just pure humanity. So there you have it, the 5 pillars. Faith, prayer, charity, fasting, and pilgrimage. Each one is a reminder, a practice, a way to connect with God and with each other. And the beauty of it? These aren't just rituals, they're meant to bring peace, purpose, and compassion into everyday life. It's a way of walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Brief history of Islam. Alright folks, we're going way back, 6th century Arabia. Think deserts, trade caravans, and a society where poetry was like the original TikTok. Seriously, back then poets were the influencers. In the city of Mecca, a guy named Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born in 570 CE. Orphaned as a kid, he grew up pretty humble, working as a shepherd, then becoming a trustworthy merchant. People literally called him Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy. I mean, if that's not good PR, I don't know what is. But here's where things get interesting. At the age of 40, while he was meditating in a cave, he received the first revelation from God through the angel Gabriel. Boom! Just like that, he's chosen as a prophet with a mission to bring people back to monotheism, worshiping one God. And from there, he started sharing these revelations, which would later be compiled into the Quran, Islam's holy book. Imagine, his message was radical at the time. He's telling people, hey, there's only one God, and life should be about justice, compassion, and community. In a world that was, let's just say, a bit chaotic, this was a bold call. At first, only a few believed him, and they faced a lot of heat for it. Persecution, boycott, boycotts, you name it. But the message kept spreading because it resonated, especially with the underdogs of society. It was about equality and fairness, a huge deal back then. Eventually, things got so intense that Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers had to leave Mecca. This event, called the Hijra, no, not the latest workout app, was a huge turning point. They moved to Medina, where Islam grew as a community and a way of life. And fun fact, this is where the Islamic calendar starts. Year 1, folks. In Medina, Islam became not just a belief, but a way of organizing society. Laws, ethics, community support, it was all coming together, and people from all backgrounds joined in. Fast forward about 8 years, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers peacefully returned to Mecca. This was like a massive homecoming, and he forgave the people who'd opposed him. That's right, no revenge, no grudges, just peace. And after that, Islam spread beyond Arabia, across North Africa, Spain, Central Asia. It wasn't about conquest, it was about sharing a vision of life centered on peace, knowledge, and compassion. And honestly, that's why Islam has stuck around for over 1400 years. Islam's impact wasn't just spiritual, it sparked one of history's greatest eras of science, art, and philosophy. I mean, Muslims were building hospitals, creating algebra, mapping the stars. Shout out to Al-Khwarizmi for basically inventing math homework. The golden age of Islam brought incredible advancements, from medicine to literature, and even influenced the Renaissance in Europe. It was like the OG TED Talk era, where scholars of all faiths came together to exchange knowledge. So there it is. Islam's history is more than just dates and names. It's a journey of faith, resilience, and let's be real, some serious innovation. From a quiet cave in Mecca to inspiring millions around the world, Islam's story is proof of how powerful an idea can be. Stick around because next up we're getting into the heart of Islam's beliefs. Spoiler, there's more to it than just the 5 pillars. The core concepts of Islam. Alright, now that we know how Islam started, let's dive into the why behind it. What are the big ideas driving the faith? What core beliefs make Islam what it is? Spoiler alert, it's not just about rituals. Islam is based on some deep concepts that make you think about life, purpose, and even the universe. First up, we've got Tawheed, the oneness of God. This is huge in Islam. Basically, Muslims believe there's one God, no partners, no equals. This God, called Allah, isn't just some distant figure in the sky. He's closer than your own heartbeat, yet greater than anything you can imagine. Think of it like this. The whole universe, from the tiniest atom to the biggest galaxy, is all interconnected, all created by one source. So, whether you're marveling at a sunset or stressing over an exam, it's all part of one big picture that points back to the Creator. It's kind of like the ultimate Wi-Fi connection, invisible but everywhere. Now let's talk about prophethood. Muslims believe that throughout history, God sent prophets to guide humanity. We're talking about some of the big names here. Abraham, Moses, Jesus. Yep, Jesus too. In Islam, he's a prophet and a pretty important one. So, what was their job? Basically, prophets were like spiritual GPS, pointing people back to God. And here's a twist. Muslims believe that Muhammad was the last prophet, kind of like the final messenger with a message for all of humanity. Imagine the pressure, no emails, no social media, just word of mouth and a whole lot of faith. Next up, the afterlife. Muslims believe that this life isn't all there is. There's an afterlife, and yeah, you're going to be held accountable. Imagine a big cosmic scoreboard where your actions count for something. Every kind word, every good deed. So it's not about living in fear, but about living with purpose. Knowing there's a part 2 to this life reminds Muslims to make every action count. It's like a divine reminder. Hey, don't waste your time on pointless drama. Good advice for all of us, really. And of course, you've got ethics and morality. Islam emphasizes being kind, truthful, and just. The goal, to build a world where everyone feels valued and respected. Islam's all about balance, helping your neighbor, taking care of your family, even being kind to animals. Honestly, if more people lived like this, the world would be a way cooler place. It's like that saying, treat others the way you want to be treated. Islam takes that seriously. So, those are the big concepts. Tawheed, prophethood, the afterlife, and ethics. Each of these isn't just a belief, it's a call to action. It's about seeing the world as connected, with purpose and responsibility at every turn. And honestly, that's what gives Islam its depth. It's not about following rules just to follow them. It's about living with intention, with gratitude, and with a sense of wonder for the world. Okay, take a breather, because next we're diving into some common myths and misconceptions. Let's see if we can clear the air on a few things. All right, let's talk misconceptions. Yep, those things people hear and then think they know about Islam. Spoiler, most of it is pretty far off. So let's bust some myths, shall we? First up, the big one. Does Islam promote violence? Short answer, absolutely not. It's actually the exact opposite. Islam's message is rooted in peace. Remember earlier when we talked about salam, the Arabic word for peace? Yeah, that's not just a nice sounding coincidence. The Quran repeatedly calls for mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. Islam is really big on self-restraint and treating others with respect, even when it's hard. And sure, there are verses about self-defense, but let's get real. So do many religious texts. Context is key, people. In Islam, violence is only permissible in self-defense, and even then, only in ways that protect civilians and promote peace. So no, it's not about causing chaos. Alright, here's another big one. Women are oppressed in Islam. Let's break this down because it's, well, complicated and also really misunderstood. good. Look, Islam actually gave women a ton of rights back in the 7th century that were groundbreaking at the time. Rights to inherit, to own property, to work, to be educated. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spoke out about treating women with kindness and respect. I mean, he even did chores at home. Imagine that in the 7th century. Some of these modern rights, Islam was ahead of the curve. Now, cultural practices in certain regions sometimes get mixed in and are mistaken for religious rules, but those aren't part of Islam itself. So let's be clear. If a woman in Islam chooses to wear a hijab, it's her personal decision. It's about modesty and identity, not oppression. Think of it like someone choosing to wear a cross necklace. It's personal. Now, this one really gets me. The idea that Islam and science don't get along? Total myth. In fact, historically, Muslims were some of the leading scientists, doctors, mathematicians, you name it. During the golden age of Islam, scholars were making huge advances in fields like medicine, astronomy, algebra, and architecture. Al-Khwarizmi, he's the guy who basically invented algebra. So next time you're struggling with an equation, you know who to thank. And there are verses in the Quran that actually encourage people to observe nature, think, and seek knowledge. So yeah, Islam and science, they're pretty tight. All right, this one's a biggie. Jihad does not mean holy war. In fact, jihad literally means struggle or striving. It's about trying to be a better person, to make a positive impact in the world. There's something called the greater jihad, which is all about your internal struggle to be better, to be kinder, more honest, more disciplined. And yeah, there's also the lesser jihad, which refers to defending your faith or community if they're under attack. But even then, the rules are strict. No harming civilians, no aggression. It's not about causing chaos. It's about justice and self-defense. Honestly, we all have our own jihad in life, don't we? Whether it's getting through finals week, being a good friend, or just trying to live with purpose. So, there you go. 4 big misconceptions. 4 mythbusters. Islam is about peace, respect, growth, and responsibility. It's a faith that values both the mind and the heart, and it's one that's deeply misunderstood. And hey, if you're ever curious about something you've heard, just ask a Muslim. They'll probably be happy to tell you all about it. Alright, so now we know what Islam's all about in the big picture. But how does it actually look in real life? Let's talk about what Islam looks like day to day, how it shapes everything from prayer routines to being a good neighbor. For Muslims, faith isn't just something that comes up on Fridays or during Ramadan. It's part of everyday life, like a GPS that keeps you grounded, guides you, and yeah, occasionally reroutes you when you get lost. Take Salah, the 5 daily prayers. It's like a spiritual reset button, a chance to pause, reflect, and remember what matters. Think of it as 5 tiny breaks that help you step back from the chaos of the day. Imagine starting your day with a morning prayer, kind of like saying, let's do this to the universe, and ending it with an evening prayer, like hitting the reset button before bed. It's honestly a routine that reminds you to stay humble and grateful, no matter how your day went. Then there's Psalm, fasting during Ramadan. It's not just about skipping meals, it's about learning self-control, gratitude, and empathy. And yes, it makes that first bite at sunset taste amazing. I mean, food has never tasted better. Ramadan's all about thinking beyond yourself, feeling what others might go through when they don't have enough, and appreciating the blessings you have. It's a pretty powerful experience when you think about it. And charity? Big deal in Islam. There's zakat, a yearly obligatory charity, and sadaqah, which is voluntary. It's about helping those in need, making sure no one's left behind. Imagine if everyone chipped in a little. We'd have way fewer problems, right? Zakat isn't just about giving money. It's about sharing what you have, lifting each other up. It's a mindset of generosity that says, hey, if I'm doing okay, I want to make sure you are too. And it's not all rituals. Islam also emphasizes good manners, kindness, and being a positive force in your community. Think about it. Just being nice, helping your neighbor, and treating others with respect. It's simple, but that stuff really matters. It's basically the original pay-it-forward system. Do good, be good. Your mom would approve. Balancing faith with modern life can be a bit of a juggling act, but Islam encourages this balance. It's about being spiritual without giving up on your everyday responsibilities. Muslims are doctors, teachers, artists, engineers, athletes, basically every kind of profession you can think of. And it's all part of living a complete life, making a positive impact at work, at home, and in the world. Faith doesn't mean detaching from life. It means diving into it with purpose. At the end of the day, Islam isn't just about rituals. It's a way of thinking, a way of treating others, and a way of looking at life with gratitude and purpose. It's this constant reminder that you're part of something bigger, and that every little act, no matter how small, can make a difference. So what's Islam's message at its core? If you had to boil it down to one word, it would be peace. And I know it sounds simple, but really, that's the heart of it. Remember how Islam and Salam share the same root? This isn't just a language quirk, it's intentional. Islam was built on the idea of creating peace within yourself, with others, and with the world around you. First, First, there's inner peace, finding balance within yourself. Through prayer, fasting, charity, and even just moments of quiet reflection, Muslims are encouraged to keep their hearts and minds steady. It's about letting go of anger, envy, stress, and focusing on what really matters. And I think we can all relate to that, right? Who doesn't want a little more calm and purpose in life? Then there's peace in the community. Islam teaches that kindness and compassion should be at the center of every interaction. That means respecting others, whether they're Muslim or not, and working together to build a better world. Imagine a world where everyone approached each other with respect and kindness first. I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? And here's something you might not know. Islam encourages peace with the environment too. Muslims are taught to protect nature and treat animals with respect. There's a famous saying from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, about conserving water, even if you're by a river. Basically, Islam's version of going green started way back when. And it makes sense. If the world is a gift from God, it's our job to take care of it. Finally, Islam teaches unity. The idea is that humanity is like one big family, each of us with a role to play. The Quran says, "We made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another." Not to fight or compete, but to understand each other. It's a beautiful idea, right? That no matter our differences, we're all connected, all here to learn from each other. So, in the end, Islam's message is simple. Find peace in yourself, share peace with others, and make peace with the world. It's a lifestyle of compassion, respect, and humility. And honestly, isn't that something we could all use a bit more of? Imagine if each of us took a step toward understanding, kindness, and connection. The world might just feel a little bit more peaceful. So there you have it. We've journeyed through what Islam is, what it stands for, and how it shapes the lives of over 1 billion people around the world. From the 5 pillars to everyday kindness, from community support to a deep respect for the world around us, Islam's message is one of peace, purpose, and unity. It's not about being perfect. It's about striving to be the best version of yourself, day by day. And yeah, it's a big responsibility, but it's one that Muslims try to carry with humility, understanding, and yes, a lot of heart. Here's the thing. Islam, like any other faith, is easy to misunderstand from a distance. But if you take the time to ask questions, get curious, and dive a little deeper, you might be surprised at what you find. So next time you're curious or unsure about something, maybe instead of relying on stereotypes or assumptions, reach out and ask a Muslim friend, visit a mosque, or check out some good books on the topic. After all, understanding each other is the first step to real peace. And hey, if this video sparked a bit of curiosity or helped clear up a misconception or two, I'd love for you to share it in the comments below. Let's keep spreading a message of understanding, compassion, and unity. Let's build a world where we're not just tolerant of each other, but where we actually understand each other. Because in the end, that's what faith and life are all about. Please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching to the end. I will see you in the next one.